My name is Robert Cagnetta, and this is the meeting of the South Kingstown of Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Mr. Daniels, Ms. Hicks, Mr. Elia, and Mr. McDonald. Also present are Amy Goins, South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, Jamie Gorman, the South Kingstown Building and Zoning Official, and Ben Barbera, the Building and Zoning Associate. The board is made up of 8 people with 5 regular voting members. A minimum of 4 members must be present to vote. In the event that a regular member is absent or recused, an alternate will step in. No more than 5 members are entitled to vote, and at least 3 voting members are needed to grant the requested relief. So tonight, the voting members will be myself, Mr. Daniels, Ms. Hicks, Mr. Elia, and Mr. McDonald. Applicants are here for either a dimensional or use variance or a special use permit. The board is a quasi-judicial body created by the South Kingstown Ordinance pursuant to state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and we operate in what we believe to be in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak, unless you do get carried away or it's deemed not relevant. So for the interest of time, please stay on point and be brief. We do our best not to argue, and we keep things civil. We try to start the last petition by 10 o'clock. After we introduce your petition, please step up to the microphone right here, adjusting it as necessary. It's extremely flexible. Clearly state your name and spell it for the record. You're also going to hit, there's 2 buttons on there. It's the button on the right that has a little person, like a shadow of a person. Once the microphone turns red, that means it's on. And then when you're done speaking, just turn it off, or else there's some wicked feedback. So after you'll be asked to state and spell your name for the record. You'll then be asked to take an oath to tell the truth. After that, you can present your petition with any witnesses to testify to support your application. The board will then ask you or your witnesses questions. After the petitioner has presented their testimony, anyone with questions in support of or opposition to the petition can step forward to the microphone. Please identify yourself, you'll be sworn in, and then you can present your testimony with follow-up questions from the board. Please don't direct any of the questions to any of the petitioners or any previous witnesses. We'll do that, and we'll ask the petitioner or any of its witnesses after the comment period. And then after we hear all the testimony, the board members will discuss it, and the application and the evidence presented. So we're going to ask a lot of questions, and there's a good reason. We cannot grant just anything we choose. There are rules to follow per the South Kingstown Ordinance. So you must give testimony to support certain facts to allow your request to be approved. And we'll do our best to help you along. Tonight we have dimensional variances and a special use permit on the agenda. We also have Mr. Rosen joining us now as well, so he is going to be a voting member. And Mr. McDonald is going to be an alternate. Oh, yeah, sure. Tonight we have dimensional variances. No special use. So for a dimensional variance, you must present evidence that your hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure, but it is not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. That your hardship is not the result of any prior action on your part, and that granting the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area, and that your hardship by the denial of the variance will amount to a more than an inconvenience. And that basically means that the relief sought is minimal to reasonably enjoy the permitted use of the property. With that, the only thing we wanted to discuss 2 things. There was a continuation for Denali. Is anyone here tonight for that petition? Willard Avenue? Okay. Well, they withdrew it, so good thing you're not here. And then the next is we have a letter dated June 24th. And is that right? Is this correct? David Johnson?
That's with regard to the Denali Court petition.
Which is the
Willard Avenue. I
Oh,
believe.
Willard Ave. Okay, that's the Willard Ave one. Okay. So, and then the other is Andrew Shea. That is third on the agenda.
That's correct.
And that one was seen as not necessary based on,
No, the issue is that the ordinance requires 14-day notice for the mailings, and they did it only 7 days prior to this hearing, so, by procedure, it can't be heard tonight.
Okay.
It would have to be next month.
so that is continued to next month?
That'll just take a motion, yep, to continue to August 19th.
Okay, so that will need a motion. So I'll make a motion to approve continuation for the petition of Andrew Shea till the August 19th, 2026. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Elia. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So, next, we have the continuation of the petition of Paul Saucy. Yes. All right, I'm sorry. So, go ahead. Take the mic.
Okay.
Do you want to do it on mic, or do you want to have it a private
Not on mic,
conversation?
no.
Not on mic.
Just mainly for the,
Okay, so we should take just a 5-minute recess?
Yes, 5-minute recess.
I apologize, folks. I wasn't aware. So we'll just take a 5-minute recess, and then we're going to start with the Saucy. So, excuse me. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. Mr. Rosen has spent about 7 years with us, and he has just tendered his resignation for the board. So he wanted to make sure he said it to us privately before he left. So we thank him for all of his efforts and service for those who have been there. Thanks, Bill. Thank you. All right, so we'll hear the petition of Paul Saucy, as long as I keep saying it right. 1033 Vintner Boulevard, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, 33410. Requests a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a detached accessory dwelling unit, an ADU, measuring 26 feet in height. The maximum height for an accessory building is 20 feet. Therefore, a relief of 6 feet is requested. The lot size is 1.27 acres. The dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance section 401. Schedule of dimensional regulations in section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property of Paul and Joy Saucy of Trust for premises located at 821 Green Hill Beach Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 90-4, Lot 166, and is zoned R80. Is someone here tonight for this petition? Come on up. And please turn on the mic and state your name and spell it for us, please.
My name is Paul Soucy, S-O-U-C-Y.
I apologize for saying it
That's
wrong all
all right.
those times. So, Mr. Soucy, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So please tell us what you'd like to do.
Thank you for meeting with me, Mr. Gorman, Mr. Cagnetta, and the entire crew. My wife and I have lived on Green Hill Beach Road for 30 years. We have a deep respect for the area, and we would like to expand our use of our particular property. So tonight I'd like to discuss what we're trying to do, the approach that we've taken to it, and how we've also addressed some of the concerns from our neighbors. So first of all, we built a 1,500 square foot, or we have a 1,500 square foot house, which was adequate when it was just my wife, my daughters, and us. But now that there's married and we've got 4 grandkids and they like to come to Camp Mimi and Papa for a few weeks each summer, we felt we needed more space. That's sort of the current need, and that's the convenient need. But I'm the youngest of 5 siblings, all much older than me, and the reality of aging kind of becomes a little bit more apparent and closer to home. And with that, we've decided that with having an ADU on our property and having the ability to age in place would be a pretty important thing for us long term. We have a daughter who is married to a local guy here. They live in Maryland now, but if worse comes to worse, if we had to move into an ADU, we would, and they would be able to come up and take care of us. Again, these are possibilities. It's, you know, something out in the future, but when you build something, you're building it not for today, you're building it for long-term use. So with that, we decided to proceed with buying or trying to build a 2-bedroom unit, fully in compliant with setbacks and square footage relative to the size of our lot. And we'd like to have that with 2 garages down below. And the reason for the garages is winter storage, as well as the fact that if in fact we become mobility impaired, the ability to be able to go from a garage into the living section would be quite helpful to do that outside of the weather. So that's one of the reasons for that. So as justification for this, there was a letter from our neighbors which came just a few hours before the last meeting, which had a number of concerns about what we were trying to do. And they were making references to what our existing building is and what our plans were. And I'd like to address those concerns for the record and for my neighbors so that they understand why we're trying to do what we're trying to do and solve some misconceptions that have been put into the record. So if I may, can I show some pictures of my existing house and share that with the committee?
Please, yeah.
So as I said, there was a letter from attorney in Delia, I'm trying to get that right, Delia, before the last meeting, and I'd like to clarify some of the misconceptions in that in that letter. So we purchased the house in 1996 from the original owner. In 1997, we added a garage onto the side, and we refreshed the house in 2018. The existing home is not only in a flood zone, but it's also in a velocity zone, which requires us to have breakaway walls. Its current location was within 125 of the CRMC buffer, and because of that, it's precluded from any further expansion. That's why we're proposing an ADU not attached to our existing building, but further away and closer to the street. Now, the storage space that's below the home is at or near water table. It's a terrible situation down there. The concrete floor slab is cracked. I got a concrete a boulder sticking through the floor. I got water that percolates up through the floor because I'm near the water table. So in the letter, it said that they believe there's some non-conforming living space down there. I can assure you the only thing that's living down there are squirrels and mice that get in through my breakaway walls. So it is not ideal space below the existing home. Now, when it comes to the garage, again, I have the luxury of a current garage, but I'd like to point out that when we built the garage, the existing home already had the first level established, which was about 7 feet above grade. We carried that level into the new section, and we were forced to build a garage sandwiched between 7 feet floor or ceiling and whatever excavation we could do. We lowered the floor a little bit, but unfortunately now when it rains, water comes down the driveway and goes into my garage. The garage door height, instead of it being a standard 8 foot, is only 6.5 feet, and because we have no headroom above the door is set even lower, and we only have 6 feet 3 of cleared opening for my garage. It's shorter than the door inside your house. That's how low my garage is. So in order to load my car, I got to do it in the driveway before I even pull in the garage. So my garage is not ideal. So when we look to build this ADU, having a garage to me is not a luxury. It's really a key part of this whole project. And in fact, when I went to the town a year ago in June and met with the planning office, which was the first step I did in this whole process, I went in there and I said, I'd like to build a garage. What's the story about building bedrooms up above it? And they explained the whole ADU process and everything else. So to say that the garage is something that you can take away and it's a mere inconvenience is not the case. The garage is a critical part of the design for our project. And the thought of putting the garage to the side is not necessarily easy either, because my driveway, which starts at the south end of my property and goes diagonally across it to my house, which is near the water, precludes me from easily putting the garage to the side of that building without getting close to my driveway. So it's not ideal in terms of laying out the whole lot. Now, the other thing, too, is that if I get rid of the garage, I'm still going to be forced to do a knee wall at least 4 to 5 feet high because I'm still in a flood zone. That means the cost of building putting in a foundation, putting in a roof, putting in a building, and building a 4.5-foot knee wall is not much different than building an 8-foot wall and getting a garage out of it. So giving up the garage is not going to save me much in terms of cost, and it's going to give up a credible amount of benefit for this property. So let me talk a little bit about the design considerations, and then I'll wrap up. The garage opening in the driveway in our house is facing my house, not the street. It's going to be very attractive. The street side of the building is going to have all the same design characteristics that are on my house, the gabling, the pediments, and everything. We're going to carry that to the back of the building. To me, is the front towards the street. So it's going to be a very attractive property. And it's really going to look like a small house rather than a tall garage. Now, while I don't agree necessarily with all the statements that were made in the letter, I did get the message from my neighbors. I understand they're not comfortable with a 26-foot high building. And as such, I have amended my application about a week and a half ago. I put in for 24 feet. I was able to reduce the scope of the pitch of the roof line, as well as shortening the garage a little bit. But I'd also like to make one other point. The street side of my building, as proposed, is less than 22 feet. So yes, on my side it's 23.5, but on the street side, which everyone else is going to see, it's 22. And another very important point is that our lot goes from an elevation above sea level at the street of 15 to 16 feet and sea level at the pond edge where we live. The building is going to be placed at an elevation of 10 feet, a full 5 feet below the grade of the street. So from the street to peak, we're talking about 18, 19 feet. This is not a building that is out of scope of the neighborhood. It's not going to look dramatically high. And in fact, if you were to build a perfectly compliant 20-foot high building across the street from me, which is 3 feet above the street level, it would look like it's 23 when mine looks like it's 18 or 19. So in conclusion, I'd like to just say that my wife and I take great pride in our property. We intend to design and build an appealing structure that complements our current neighborhood and our current home. We've demonstrated the need for the living space both now and in the future, including the garage. And I've listened to the concerns of my neighbors, and I've made the biggest adjustment that I can make without major inconvenience. And in consideration of these points, I would hope you would grant our variance.
Thank you, Mr. Susi. Board members, questions? Go ahead, Mr. Elia. Why don't you start it out?
Just a few questions. Are you your address is listed as Palm Beach Gardens. Are you a full-time resident here?
I'm not.
Okay. So, obviously you spend your winters in Florida.
Yes.
Okay. Can you expand on why, if you're not here in the winter, why a garage is more important? I'm a little confused. You had mentioned that mobility impaired was one of the reasons that for the ADU, but
Because
an ADU on a second floor is not necessarily conducive for someone who's,
Well, I don't have a choice in putting an ADU on the first floor because I'm in a floodplain. So I'm either dealing with an elevator or a ramp, because I can't go, my current house is already up a full floor and has a turning staircase. So, and my current layout would not lay out very, very well for that. Now, my daughter, who's married to somebody from town here, and her family, their family is here, it's more likely that my daughter would move into our home and we would move into the ADU if it were to come to that.
so you're saying that this ADU will not be rented at any time, it's for
It will-
personal use?
It will not be rented out.
Okay.
In the 30 years that I've owned my house, I rented it out the first summer and vowed never, ever to do that again.
Thank you, Mr. Elia. Any other questions? Mr. Daniels?
Mr. Susi, good evening. How many months a year do you reside in your residence here in South Kingstown?
5 to 6. We're here, we typically, our calendar is 7 and 5, because you have to be more than 6 months in a day to be in Florida. However, my wife and I travel in the spring and the fall, so the weeks move a little bit. But we typically try to get here at the beginning of June and leave to get down to our kids to see Halloween in Maryland and
So
end
you're a
of
resident.
October.
You're a resident of Florida.
I am a resident of Florida, yes.
So your property is not occupied 12 months a year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions, board members? So based on the property itself, you're saying that you can't really connect a garage to it?
Absolutely not, no.
And if you were able to connect a garage to it, he can go up to the 26 feet? Mr. Gorman?
If the accessory building, the ADU, were attached to the primary dwelling, which is, considerable, 100 feet away, plus or minus, then it would be limited to 35 feet in building height.
Right. So just the fact that it's a separate
Yep.
building.
We would love to be building it attached to our existing building, but we are well within the 125 CRMC buffer zone, so it's like, I talked to my engineer and he said yeah, give it up, don't even think about it.
Right. And were able to fit it onto your property with the setbacks?
Yes, all setbacks were met. We were able to get it, if you look at the way that the lines lie out on that sheet, the red line is the CRMC buffer zone, so we needed to get the building beyond the red line. The blue line is the DEM buffer zone. And we wanted to keep all of the septic and everything related to it just beyond that blue line to keep it out of the DEM restricted zone, let's call it. We have at this point received full permitting from DEM for a denitrification system. We're totally through that. They were approved it. All our surface water treatment has been dealt with. Everything dealing with water while you're constructing the building has been dealt with. All those approvals are there. CRMC has approved what our coastal wetland edge is, which is a kind of setting the table for us to get the CRMC approval, which I can't do until we get past this stage.
Right.
But we've gotten them to agree to where the boundary is so that when we do our design, we know we're not going to have them go, oh, yeah, you think you're outside the buffer, but actually you're in. So we're pretty deep into the design at this point.
And your contention is by the street that this structure will be consistent with the rest of the buildings in the neighborhood?
Absolutely. In the second page, I have pictures of buildings that are directly across the street, as well as a couple of buildings that are almost a clone of what I'm intending to build, except those are houses which have a different standard than I do. That's page 2.
And I was there earlier today, and it seems as if it's a lot of the buildings can be seen from the street, but yours is pretty well tucked behind. Is your intent to sort of remove a lot of the trees? I know that some was removed already.
We have at this point removed no trees. We've had some trees that fell over in the past couple of winters. The only clearing that was done was brush in order to do the perk test.
Okay.
We are trying to keep as many trees as possible, especially the maples. We have a few beautiful maples that we're trying to keep. We'll see how it lays out.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Elio.
Mr. Sussy, you had mentioned that you reduced your request by 2 feet, correct?
Correct.
So the information in front of us is you're looking for release of 6 feet. Is that the number, or is that,
No, we're looking for 4 feet at this point.
so we're looking at,
Yeah, so
Okay,
the
so
initial.
the initial was 6,
The
but now
initial
you're
was
looking
6.
for 4.
We put in an amendment, like I say, a week ago Monday, after, like I say, we repitched the roof and took some space out of the garage.
I just want to make sure we're accurate. Thank you.
Any other questions, board members? Mr. Daniels?
Just to follow up, and it's actually for the building official, if the applicant was seeking to just build the garage, would that be allowed by right?
This is strictly for the height, so if it was
Just the garage?
just a garage, then likely it wouldn't need, unless if he needed a garage over 20 feet in height, then it would be allowed as of right. But the issue is,
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
But if he were here for just the, you wouldn't be here for just the garage. You'd
Correct.
be allowed by right. Okay.
Correct.
I get it. Yep.
Okay, anything you want to add?
No?
No.
I'll address any questions if to the audience if afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Susi.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, anyone want to speak on behalf of this petition for it? We'll start with anyone for it? Okay, anyone opposed wants to come up and have a conversation? We also have a letter that was mentioned by Mr. Susi from Indeglia and Associates. That was the June 17th meeting where as he explained, they were concerns about let's see, they say he already has a garage and that he's seeking to put a second story on a garage to create an accessory dwelling, but he doesn't need it. That they're concerned that the height would only be 20 feet, not the 26 feet. And I'm not sure how to address, they do mention the carrying capacity overlay district, which I'm not familiar with that at all, where the state regulates through the Salt Pond Region Special Area Management Plan. I'm not familiar with that as use in our enforcement or in our ordinance at all. That the height, I'm not sure how that's relevant, but I don't know if we even need to address it. It was just brought up by them. So there's a number of concerns that they have in terms of the height. So, I don't know if anyone's out there who wants to expand on that or wants to sort of explain a little bit more. Yeah, come on up. Just be short. Oh, the mic's on already, so all you have to do is state and spell your name, please.
Hi, my name is Michelle Atkinson, Atkinson.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. So tell us what you'd like to say.
So I'm the owner of 803 Green Hill Beach Road, which directly abuts the property under discussion on the north side.
North
So
side, okay.
I'm above the line there.
Okay.
I have two questions to start off with. When I looked online, it said the height limit for ADUs is 15 feet. What's that versus 20 that you're talking about, too?
Sure. Well, Mr.
So it
Sorry.
depends on the zoning district. If it's R10 or R20 zoning district, then it would be limited to 15 feet if it's an accessory building. In this case, it's R80, so it's limited to 20 feet.
20.
Yeah.
And that height limit is not just for an ADU, that's the limit for all accessory structures, that's correct? Okay, that's what I thought.
So as an accessory structure, when we're talking about an ADU, there isn't anything specific relative to height, specifically to that.
Correct.
It just fits with any
Correct.
outbuilding that's. Okay.
Correct, in fact, state law says we have to treat it in terms of for height limit, the same as a garage.
Okay,
Any
so it
out-
can't be
any
its own
outbuilding.
designation. Got it.
Okay.
Does that make
thanks.
sense?
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. And then, just to clarify too, they don't currently have a CRMC assent permit issued yet?
I'll ask him that, but he mentioned that, I don't know if they're waiting for the DEM or CRMC.
Okay.
I'll ask the CRMC.
So I have some concerns that the requested height variance exceeds what's necessary and will have a significant adverse impact on neighboring properties, including my own. From what I understand, height restrictions are an important part of the zoning bylaws, and there's a purpose especially to keeping this for ADUs. They are to be accessory and also have the appearance of being accessory as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the purpose of the height limit is also to protect neighboring properties from excessive visual impacts such as loss of privacy and loss of view, et cetera.
No, not for loss of view.
Okay.
We can't protect that,
But
but it's
privacy is a concern.
managing more of a standard expectations in terms of heights of buildings,
Okay.
so.
A taller building will create greater opportunities for overlooking neighbors' homes, yards, and decks, therefore diminishing the privacy that adjacent property owners can reasonably expect. The requested variance would allow a building that is noticeably taller than the primary residence, just by fact that it's out the street, so it's higher and taller than where the primary residence is, which is down quite a slope to the water. And so from the street, it would appear to be then two full-sized homes on this lot. And, you know, he said he's going to trim it out the way his house is trimmed, so it'll essentially look like two full-sized homes on one property. And then the extra height would greatly increase the visual mass of the structure as well. Now, I know you've seen the neighborhood. In our Green Hill neighborhood, and especially the Green Hill Beach Road area, is very unique. It consists entirely of single-family homes without detached accessory dwelling units. And the attraction of many of us to this area comes from all of the breathing space that exists between our homes, as well as trees and so forth. And this is, you know, as you know, unlike other coastal villages such as Matunic, where houses are right up against each other and so forth. And this, I feel like this proposed ADU would introduce a new residential structure and intensity of use that is not characteristic of the immediate area. Would we want to see this character change of the neighborhood? I personally would not. And we stand to lose it one ADU at a time. I know this whole ADU issue is new, especially for South Kingstown and especially for our neighborhood. So, you know, I think we need to be careful with it. And so the increased density, increased stormwater runoff, increased traffic, increased noise, increased water usage issues, increased potential to become another community overrun by college student rentals, you know, not for necessarily his property, but for others that come in the area. It runs the risk of changing this area from the quiet coastal oasis we have all enjoyed for many years. None of us will be the last owners of our homes, and I hope every generation will work hard to preserve what we have come to appreciate and be the best stewards for the future. So, from what the owner has said, it appears that this ADU can be redesigned to comply with the zoning ordinance while still achieving his intended residential use. Simplifying the plan to a one-story structure would be better to age in place even if he has to build a ramp, and it would solve the housing issue and definitely minimize its impact on the enjoyment and value of all the neighboring properties. And so I urge you to please strongly consider adhering to the current height limitations, and I thank you for listening to my comments.
Okay, thank you. So you're saying that the 4 feet is going to make a big difference in terms of the aesthetic?
Percent-wise, it's 20%, and that's a considerable percentage to me.
Of a percentage of?
Of the height of the building.
Okay. I mean, buildings are taller than that building, though, in the neighborhood.
Sure, right. But this building right next to my property, I'm going to lose all the privacy on my back deck and my bedroom windows. As a car turns to go into the garage that he's proposing, the lights are going to shine right in my bedroom windows on the first floor.
You're at a higher elevation, though, than he is, aren't you?
Not for the ADU. I'm at the level of the street, so it would be at the level of where he's proposing to build this.
Well, he's talking about going down to his property and then turning back up towards the street, so it's underneath.
Right, but as he turns, those lights are going to shine right in my bedroom windows, so.
Okay. It does now, though, too. Like, he can turn around in his driveway and it can go in your
Well, when he
house.
goes in his garage, he goes straight in, and
Right.
headlights go straight down.
Right, but if there are other people in there turning around and so forth, it would still, so, I mean, but even if it were a lower building, it wouldn't matter. You'd still see the lights, because they park right in front of
I
that,
suppose.
perhaps.
I suppose.
I mean, I think it's just, it's really determining sort of the intensity and changing, sort of really changing the neighborhood, but,
Exactly, and I guess my basic concern is if these things are going to be allowed, these structures are going to be allowed in the neighborhood, I think it behooves us to adhere to certain requirements, just so we have some kind of control over the thing.
in terms of the
Height and
height.
size.
Right, but if it were attached to the house, he can be 30 feet high.
Right, but that's a moot point because he can't be by the water, right?
He can't be attached.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Board members, any questions for this? No? Okay, we'll ask him about the CRMC.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against? Come on up. And again, just turn the mic on and state and spell your name for us, please. Yeah, that's all right.
There we go. Hi, my name is Natalie Palmer. I live at 816 Green Hill Beach Road, and I am just wanting to raise...
Then spell it for me, please.
Oh, both names?
Yeah, please.
Natalie Palmer.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So go ahead, please tell me.
Okay, I am just up here to speak or to raise some questions. I'm not here to address the appropriateness of ADUs. I see a need for them. But I do think that we need to, this 20-foot height restriction was put in place for some specific reason in this zone. Now, I found out what the zone was tonight. I couldn't get that information on the phone. And I would hope that there would be a way that they could figure out how to do it to meet that 20 feet, because I didn't think there was anything in the regulation that specified slope as being a concern, or a consideration for the change in, as opposed to just flat land. And I am concerned with the use of for ADUs that if we start to give a lot of variances or give a variance to this regulation, then we are opening up the door for other people to be doing the same thing. And we have a good number of garages that are enormous in the neighborhood if you go up and around the streets. I don't know what they are. They just don't have finished bedrooms and that sort of thing. They're storage, but they're getting big. And I'm afraid that that will set a precedent, and that the regulation now, instead of being a regulation, is just a suggestion. And I am concerned about the change in the character because of that. And that is basically all I have to say.
Well, thank you. I mean, and so you know, when we said at the beginning, we treat every case to be individual. So it's not as if we said, oh, well, we did this before, we'll do it again. Every property we try to look at with a fresh set of eyes, without any prejudgment to say, oh, well, we did it just like this before.
But are there any, oh, sorry.
Well, that's right. And as for the ADUs, we have been very mindful over their use and placement, you know, and trying to maintain a density, you know, that is, it's a little bit challenging because it's sort of coming from the state as to how the expectation of how these are supposed to be placed and used in each town. And then South Kingstown kind of had its own identity, so it's sort of wrestling with those two a little bit. That's, again, why we try to take it very seriously when we're considering it, to make sure that it's going to maintain a character, but also make sure that we're not denying people of an opportunity, right? So, you know, so each one is its own. And this one, I think, is definitely, you know, one that's unique to this really great neighborhood, very unique neighborhood, that I think deserves that scrutiny, right? So I think
I might be coming up,
I'm sorry?
I might be coming and requesting one in a couple of years, 5 years, who knows?
Well, and you know, I think the hope is that we get sort of very thoughtful approaches to how people, you know, want to use their property in a way that doesn't sort of make it overbearing. You know, I mean, because we can't even consider things like water, right? Because it's a big issue. But that's not something for us to consider, which is a shame. But so anyway, so we're trying to work within the parameters that we have. And in this case, it's not a question of if the ADU is appropriate, it's just saying that 4 feet, right?
Correct.
And is, you know, and as to the scale, is that scale appropriate? And the setting of the building, not so much the setting because it's in its setbacks, is its scale appropriate? And that's sort of just based on how we're viewing the immediate area. So, yeah, I think it's all those things that we're trying to think about.
Balance.
You know, but I think you said, so your concerns with it are, I mean, we're asking, he's asking for a
Just the variance
height.
on the height.
You know,
That's
so.
That's all I'm addressing.
And so you think the height is excessive? It's going to stand out relative to the neighborhood?
I
Or
think that if the town has a restriction at 20 feet, that is the restriction that it should have. And if it starts to change, I know you say that you're looking at them individually, but if enough people get variances, then all of a sudden, why couldn't I come 10 years from now and say, okay, you've established a new ordinary?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, the 20 feet is, or within the certain sizes of the properties, we have height regulations for each. They might want to readdress that at some point, but they haven't. So that's why we're here. So I think it's just a matter of us now considering its, you know, sort of placement on the property and the neighborhood, if it's appropriate. Because, yeah, I mean, we know that this is permanent, everything we're saying here, or everything that's decided on. And so, but, you know, I hope that folks do come up to us with creative ways to help the community without overbearing to it. So, questions from board members? No? Did you want to add anything else?
No, I just wanted to address the height.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Anyone else want to speak on behalf of the petition?
On behalf?
Or against, rather, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Members of the board. My name is Vincent Indalia.
Thank you for
I'm with the law firm of Indalia & Associates. You
telling me
mentioned
how to
before.
pronounce it, thank you.
It's a silent G.
Thank you, I should know that.
Some people already know that. I represent the residents at 804 and 810 on the road, on Green Hill Road. And they have, at the last meeting, submitted what we thought was a detailed explanation and objection. I'm not sure if you, I think we sent it to everybody on the board and through the
Yes,
solicitor.
that was part of the initial presentation.
So, and I have to say that I think the neighbors, very polite, spoke what they said about it, but I also think that from my client's perspective, as you know, because you deal with variances on a regular basis, you use both use variances, dimensional variances, and there have been a number of changes in the law, right? We've got a recent legislative change to use variances where you still must analyze whether a denial of this use would be a loss of the beneficial use to this applicant. You have to balance that with the fact that they are also seeking an additional dwelling unit, which, unless we've been blind to the newspapers, that has been a big discussion over the last 24 months from the state legislature to the towns, just as you said, Mr. Cagnetta. However, the state has also been mindful of the requirements that the towns would impose or need to have within their town comprehensive plans. And in this particular size of a lot, in this particular zone, additional dwelling units and any additional unit, a detached garage, cannot be more than 20 feet. This applicant comes to you under Title 45 and says, well, I want a variance of that. And a variance, as you know, isn't just a generic term. I want to vary. They need to show that if you don't, and it's a permitted use, by the way, an additional dwelling use, it's a permitted use there. You have to ask yourself, if we don't permit this, are we denying him a benefit of the use of the land? Number one. Number two, is that denial of the benefit more than a mere inconvenience to the applicant? In this case, I'm assuming he did say, the applicant did point out that, which was one of the concerns we had, it wasn't in the original application. I'm assuming that if he applies for a building permit, all the CRMC permits and the DEM permits will be made as a condition so that he meets the nitrogen requirements. Mr. Cagnetta, you said, well, you know, I don't know what the SAMP, the Salt Area Management Plan means. It's just a very sensitive area that you have down in that area. It's a treasure in your town. Not every town has one. And if you're going to be imposing additional out systems, which this is a second out system on the same property, you have to meet the nitrogen discharge requirements. And I think Mr. Soucy's indicated that he just got that. It may not be in your application, but I would ask that whatever permitting you give him, it would be subject to that approval with the building inspector. But going back to whether or not it's a mere inconvenience, these additional dwelling units were legislatively designed for additional housing because we have a lack of housing, whether it's for low to moderate income housing, something this town struggles with. I live next door over in Narragansett. We struggle with it, same issues. But this is clearly not for low to moderate income housing because the applicant told us that's not the purpose. While he says maybe in the future it's for our aged community, maybe it's not. What he's told us is he wants it for a part-time area to have his grandchildren. So, and that's great. He can still have his additional dwelling unit. Granting the additional dwelling unit within the confines of what your town has said an additional property should be. When I say property, building should be on the land. He can still do it within 20 feet. The problem is, and it's not really a problem, because we have so many houses in town that don't have them, he wants an underground garage. I attached to my documentation, and if you don't have it before you, his home is a beautiful home. He already has a garage. He wants more garages. And that is not a denial of the beneficial use as a more than a mere inconvenience. He can have his dwelling unit, it can be built, he can have tall ceilings, he can have his pitched roof, all within 20 feet, still be above the floodplain when he constructs. He just can't have a 2-car garage and an additional dwelling. So it's kind of like he's got to make a choice. I can have a 2-car garage, a separate garage, and build that, and I don't need a variance, and I get the beneficial use of a permitted use, which is a garage. Or I can build a dwelling unit, which is a really nice use. I can have other people there, and I don't know if you asked the question about whether or not it was going to be for rental or for it was. But, yeah. We always get this from other towns and communities. Yes, I understand, Mr., Mrs., that you say you're going to use it for this use, but what about the next owner or the owner after that? Once these structures are built, they're there forever, and you're granting this use for the beneficial use of all people that might come into ownership of the property, not just that particular owner. And for those reasons, just on the first leg, I've never known this town to say, well, you don't have beneficial use of your property if you don't have a garage underneath your home. The comment was made by one of the other abutters who said, well, geez, I'm concerned because this is a 20% increase of what's permitted under your ordinance. It was 30%, and I give kudos to the applicant for, on his own, trying to come up with a way to make it less. But when you talk about in terms of feet, and Mr. Cagnetta, you know, you could say, well, it's only 4 feet that he wants as an additional amount. But when you talk about in terms of percentages, and you talk about in terms of precedents, there are precedences set. Precedents set when you make these grants. And I know you take them as a case-by-case basis, but if they came in and they said, well, we could actually make an additional dwelling unit in our own home. We can't go outside the footprint because we're a little concerned about the requirements of coastal being so far away. But what if we went up? You know, if we went to the town and we asked for a 20 or 30% increase, we could build up and build into it. Somebody else was able to put 20%. Well, geez, let's see. What's 20%? What's 30% of 35? Now we're talking about a 10-foot increase, a 45-foot building, as opposed to a 30%. It was okay for the other guy to have 20%. Why can't I have 20%?
But that's not how we judge cases, though.
I know
There's
it's
no
not how
precedent.
This particular board is exceptional that way, but not every board in South Kingston
Understood,
has
but
been there.
but we don't work off precedent. So someone can't come in and say, well, my neighbor did it.
Right,
That's
so-
not going to allow them to get through.
But
So-
right, and so the consistency that the boards are supposed to follow in order to maintain consistency for your citizenship is to follow the rules and regulations. And the rules and regulations say you really ought not grant the variance unless the 2-step process is met. One, has he lost full beneficial use of the property? No. Is the beneficial loss more than a mere inconvenience? And I suggest to you that it's not a mere inconvenience. In addition, I don't think it should be just, I know you're not disregarding it, but you should take into consideration that you are in 2 special zones. Why are you in special zones? Because you're in very protected areas along that coastline. And it's actually 3, because you're also in the flood safety zone as well, and you have to be at a certain height so that your house doesn't get washed out. So those zones are all addressed in your comprehensive plan. And it's not my client's job to come in and tell somebody they didn't meet the engineering requirements or they didn't do this. It is the applicant's job to do that, because we really don't want to be sticking our nose that much into
But that's
their
not
business.
that's not the zoning board's purview.
But it is.
No,
You must,
it's not. CRMC and
No.
DEM specifically are regulating sort of,
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct.
yes.
But it is your job to make sure that it conforms to the town's comprehensive plan when you grant a variance. And if they don't meet the requirements of the SAMP, and they don't meet the
But that's not a consideration that's typically done by, I've been here 26 years, and it's never been used. And it's not even something we can use under our ordinance for consideration of an approval or denial of a dimensional variance.
Well, I would just, for the record, so that there's a record, section 600 of your zoning ordinance says, if you're in these zones, the zoning board must consider it, and the zoning board must consider whether it falls within the town comprehensive plan. And it's the burden of the applicant to demonstrate that. And that's where your zoning is. I didn't place it there.
It's relative to,
Granting of a variance.
understood, but the particular, you said the stamp?
SAMP, your
This SAMP,
SALT
okay.
Area Management Plan,
Right.
which is incorporated into the town's comprehensive plan.
Sure,
Okay, that's all.
okay.
And you have to consider all of that in conjunction with Title 45. What's the accessory use? Is the accessory use going to deny this applicant of the full benefit of the use of their property? And if it's not the full benefit, is the denial more than a mere inconvenience? Like I said, there have been plenty of denials based on the fact that having an additional underground garage or garage under your house is not a mere inconvenience, especially if what they really want is the ADU. If they really want the ADU, they can have the ADU. And they can still have a garage because they already have it. And I think when you have the 4 folks that are so far objecting to it, all of whom live in the same exact area, all of whom are direct 200-foot abutters, and they're pointing out the same thing, that these grants of these ADUs in this zone are supposed to look and conform with the area, the way it looks today, how it is today. I don't think it was designed to have, that this town council, when it passed the ordinance and adopted everything so that you could have ADUs, said, well, along the coastline, if you want a 24-foot ADU so you can have your garage, if that's what they wanted, they would have put it in the ordinance. They didn't do that. So that's our plug.
Okay.
And I'll answer any questions that anybody has.
Okay, Mr. Daniels.
Mr. Indelia,
Yes, sir.
you argued that in your testimony and in your brief that the applicant has an existing 2-car garage, correct?
I indicated that there's certainly one, and I believed that maybe where it's on the other side, it looks kind of identical, that had been a garage. I accept Mr. Susi's statement that they don't use that as a garage, they use it as storage, and it's not
Right.
very good
It's
storage.
unusable, so how do you argue
No, I think what he said...
against that? It's
Well-
it's not a garage. It's unusable. We have testimony that it's not usable as a garage. So what is your counter-argument on that?
No, my counter-argument is, if you, and you can ask him again, one side of his house has the 1-car garage, which is clearly visible in the photograph. The other side, he says, is used as storage. And this is on the lowest level we're talking about, not on his second level. Beautiful home. All the living level is, I guess, about 14 feet above sea level, so it's built up. The garage, one garage is underneath. On the other side, he says it's got breakaway walls. He uses it for storage and squirrels and mice. That's his choice. But he's going to have a garage at the same level that'll be in the same sea area. Water would flow underneath if there was a storm. And he's already testified the reason he wants it is for an additional garage and for more storage. He didn't say that he wants that space for an additional dwelling unit. He's still going to get his additional dwelling unit. And we don't oppose that. Additional dwelling unit's a great idea. And I don't think my clients who are seated here today, both of them, have any objection whatsoever to an additional dwelling unit that meets the regular requirements of a second building on a property of that size, which is 20 feet.
Any other questions, board members? For the attorney? No?
Okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition? Or opposed? I'm just saying on behalf, just opposed or against. Or, Jesus, they're both. All right. Anyway, Mrs. Sousa, you want to come back up? So there's a couple of questions raised. One was the CRMC, and I apologize, you mentioned either it was DEM or CRMC that you're waiting for.
So at this point with CRMC, I have gone to them to get the water edge verification. So, and in the process, by the way, I've learned, the point about CRMC and DEM being great protectors of the watershed, I can tell you they definitely are. Because when CRMC reviewed my water's edge, they went back and looked at 30 years of permits that I pulled on my property and said, oh, you know, when you put solar panels in, you were supposed to get CRMC approval. Oh, when you put new siding on, you were supposed to get CRMC approval. So I ended up going back and clearing up 3 previous CRMC building permits that I did that didn't have CRMC approval because no one knew we needed it. So I have an assent on all previous work. I have a water line definition established to do the buffer zones on the drawings, and that's as far as I've gone. Once I get past the zoning, I will then go to CRMC for the final assent. But they're aware of what we're doing. We've been talking with them right along, so I haven't gotten a time out.
Preliminary,
You better not
just-
do this. In fact, that's the reason why we know we can't build near onto the existing home because of where it's positioned. And then for DEM, that process is totally done. We received the permit from them, I believe the day of the meeting last month, or maybe perhaps the day before. But
Okay.
so that is done. In fact, they required us to put a deed restriction on our property saying that we will never have more than 2 bedrooms in the ADU, which of course the ADU requirements only allow 2. So, but I had to put a deed restriction in for the DEM.
Okay.
One point I'd like to address about density and the concern that Michelle had on density. I'd like to point out my lot is the biggest lot of the 6 lots surrounding me. I'm 1.25 acres, and most of the lots are like 3/4 of an acre. I'm full 2/3 bigger than most lots, and I have the smallest house at 1,500 square feet, with the exception, I think, of one. The average house is 1/3 bigger than mine. So this is not an issue of I'm building a McDonald's next to Green Hill Pond. I'm putting in a garage. My coverage of my lot is still well below any standard that's out there.
How many bedrooms is in your existing home?
Current bedrooms is 3.
3 bedrooms?
And the thought of going up and not changing our footprint, there is no way DEM would grant us a 5-bedroom septic. In fact, I originally, when I first started talking to our engineer, I said, why don't I build a brand-new septic system way up at the street, get rid of the old one and pump up to it? And he says, you do not want to do anything within the 200-foot DEM zone. Put in a separate system up there. God forbid if your old system fails, then you have to go for an emergency approval. But don't touch anything in the existing footprint.
And of these other, are you familiar with the other properties surrounding you?
Yes.
Do other people have garages
Oh,
besides
yes.
you?
Yeah, garages to the right, to the left of me, not across the street, but the next one over has a 2-car garage. I have pictures of some buildings. 804 has a 2-car garage. 804 has a design almost exactly of what I'm building, or 810, I'm not sure which one. But I'm not, the statement that I'm going to be building out of character the neighborhood is just, it's not correct. I'm out of character in the fact that it's not an attached building to the main building, so I can't go up 35 feet. Right. I mean, unfortunately, too many houses I see are being torn down and being rebuilt with monster houses so that they can do whatever they want. 5 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 35 feet high.
Right.
I don't want to do that. I just want to put a nice garage and ADU on my property.
And you'd have to
unfortunately-
pull everything forward then. So if you were going to build a new house, you'd have to pull it forward, but you could
No,
go
if
up
I had to build a
30.
new house, it would be pretty much where that house is going. It would be much bigger
And you could do it taller.
Oh, and tall, it'd be 35 feet tall. It would be, I mean, it's what Chip did, just 2 doors down from me or 3 doors down from me. He had a house that he dealt with all the same restrictions that I'm dealing with his existing construction, and finally he said, this doesn't make sense for me. I'm gonna build a brand-new house at the street and tear down my old house when I was done.
Right.
I don't wanna go that route, but that is a solution to the same problem. And believe me, what's gonna end up near the street is gonna be far more noticeable than what I'm proposing here today.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, board members? Ms.
I
Hicks?
have 2 questions. The first one, do you perhaps know the height of your current home?
It is very similar, it's probably 24-ish, 25, because the first floor is a little bit lower than what I would build in the new section, only because the first floor is, like I say, it's below
Okay.
water table.
Because in my head, I'm just trying to,
They're
I
all-
realize that the property
They're almost a
slopes.
clone of each other. I tried to keep the same roof pitch. I really tried to bring the same design forward. And it's going to be a little bit taller because I'll get a garage that I can actually use.
Okay. And my second question, should the time come where you need to move into the ADU and have your daughter or someone else move into the current house, would you then live there 12 months a year?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's, I hate to use the word end game, but that's the end game.
Thank you, Mrs. Susan. Mr. Gorman, and just a reminder, what are the rules for renting out anything? ADU?
The state law prohibits short-term rental of ADUs. That's statewide. That's not a South Kingstown rule. That's not on our books. It's in the state law. Or it may be on our books, but in any event, it's prohibited under state law. We do not have any prohibitions with regard to rental otherwise. That's not short-term.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So if there's no one out there that wants to speak for or against, board members, any thoughts in particular about this, Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, let me just try and have council identify owner occupied. We have testimony that the owner is there five months a year. He's a resident of Florida. The statute requires owner occupied, not owner, and I'm elsewhere. It's owner occupied.
I'm not sure if you might be referring to the regulations we had on the books for accessory apartments. There is no requirement under state law that ADUs be owner occupied.
No. The main residence needs to be owner occupied. The main house on the property needs to be owner occupied. That's part of the ordinance. Am I correct?
It may be in the town's ordinance that's, I don't want to say outdated, but hasn't been amended to reflect the changes to state law, which removes that requirement that one of the 2 dwellings be.
State law
Yeah.
removes that requirement?
Yeah, when the ADU law was amended significantly in 2024, owner occupied is no longer part of the definition or the regulations.
Mr. Dilly, go ahead. We didn't close it, so certainly you can. Yeah.
The owner-occupied portion was so that you didn't start creating rental duplexes on a property, for example. And so the requirement in state law, I don't know what the town of South Kingston has done, because I haven't looked at your ordinance on that, but the state law, and Amy may know, you might be able to pull it up right now, if they amended it. but-
It is not in state law anymore.
Okay.
That's why I don't want to confuse the board. There is no requirement that a property with an ADU be owner occupied. I think that was.
Not the owner-occupied, the main residence.
Correct. That was in a prior version of the definition.
Okay.
It's been amended significantly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so To clarify, the owner doesn't need to be there in the main residence whatsoever.
That is correct. The old definition of an ADU under state law before the 2024 amendments did require owner occupancy. That was written out of the law.
Okay. This needs to be revised then.
Yep, well,
Is the, I just want to, is this what we're referring to?
I think he's referring to Attorney Indelia's memo.
Okay.
Any other comments from board members? Thoughts? Yeah, well, I mean, that's where we're going now. I mean,
Yeah,
how
I'll
are
go.
people feeling, Mr. Ilio?
I have no reason to see why an ADU would be needed or required based on your future plans. But I am struggling, and I don't believe that the proof of hardship has been met as to why that ADU can't be built without the need for a garage. I don't know if there are other considerations, but I just don't see as to why that ADU that you're trying to achieve can't be done without that garage, which I think is the source of the contention here.
Okay, Mr. McDonald?
You know, I tend to agree on that point. I mean, if the fact is they want an ADU, and that is, we're all in favor of ADUs, they can have an ADU. And they can do it within the confines of what we have in our regulations. So for me to, think about, well, we can give them a variance, and I don't really think a 4-foot variance is detrimental to that neighborhood. But I do think they're the alternative for them to build within our standards, within our rules, are there. So for me, I would agree that I think they can still achieve an ADU. They can build it within our guidelines. They just wouldn't have a garage. And I don't think that's taking away from the main focus of having an ADU.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm torn on this because the owner could put a garage on that property by right. He doesn't even need to be here. Just get a building permit and do it. He could also put an ADU on that property that met the height requirements without being here. He could do that as well. So both of those are allowed uses if they were separate. But he's choosing to combine the two, which makes sense from a financial point of view, in my judgment. We have testimony that his garage is basically a storage area. It's wet. You can't use it. You can't put cars in it, so on and so forth. Frankly, 4 feet doesn't bother me, as Mr. McDonald said. And I just don't have enough to deny this application at this point.
Ms. Hicks, or I can go.
All right, I guess I may be the outlier because listening to Mr. Soucy's explanation for putting in this ADU with the garage, I thought it made sense. I have dealt with aging parents. I too am aging, and I understand why if you're living in the ADU, you would want to be able to pull into a garage, in inclement weather, and especially if you say you're going to now, well, at the time you move into that ADU, you're going to be here 12 months of the year, when it does snow, when it's icy, etc. I also don't have a problem with the 4 feet. I went out and looked at your property as well, and I really don't think it's going to be something that's going to attract everybody's attention, as they drive by or live near, so I don't have a problem with it. And were I to vote right now, I would vote for it.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks. So I think I was torn like the others here until the end in really saying that, well, the other option is just to tear down the house and then build something much bigger in the front. I feel that this is an alternative that sort of maintains sort of the integrity of the existing structure and the existing aesthetic of the area, and just sort of put something in the front that he can get sort of more use out of the property. Being that the property is as big as it is, he could build a 36-foot tall house in the front, which would be fully, will be allowed under the ordinance, and would be very similar to some of the houses across the street, which there is a pretty big leap between the aesthetics of a lot of the buildings on that road. So I feel like that this is just a very subtle change to this property, and I'm not really feeling that the 4 feet is something that's going to stick out. I think if a building were not even the 24 feet that he's requesting, and if it were in fact the 36 feet or 36 feet that he can build, 35 feet. If it were 35 feet, now we're, a full 10 feet, 11 feet higher than what he's asking for now, which to me would be even more devastating. So I feel that it's thoughtful, that he's made improvements to the house, and this is just another logical improvement to the property. And so I think it sort of fits within the character of the house and the property and the surrounding area. So anyhow, so it looks like that we'll have a 3 out of 5 of us, so, which does pass it. So, if we want, we can, someone wants to make a motion, or I can make the motion. I could try. I think I was listening.
But before the motion, if I could I just want to touch on something that Attorney Andalia mentioned. The other regulations that the carrying capacity overlay district, the special flood hazard area, the fact that there's a special area management plan, those are all regulations that do apply, but no relief is needed from any of those regulations. In fact, the carrying capacity overlay district used to prohibit accessory apartments in that district. That has now been superseded by state law allowing the ADU. So, and I think the focus of those regulations and of what the comprehensive plan says about this area largely pertains to density. And again, it is not, density is not the primary issue in this matter, because the ADU is allowed by right. So I just offer that for the board's consideration. I don't want you to think you're overlooking anything, because I don't think you are. I think you can, if the board thinks it's appropriate to grant the relief, I don't think any of those regulations say you shouldn't be granting it.
Thank you for that clarification. That definitely helps. Okay. So I will make a motion to approve the petition of Paul Susi of 1033 Vintner Boulevard in Palm Beach for the property located at 821 Green Hill Beach Road in South Kingstown. We heard from Mr. Susi, who was presenting his plan to build a detached garage and ADU unit on his property, which he has certainly improved over the years in sort of redefining sort of its architectural style, as well as some of the spaces in the building and the uses. He mentioned that he does have some current storage space in the existing house, but it sounds like that the architecture is unique in the sense that he only has a 7 foot or so, or less than that, a 6'4" or something like that, height for a garage, which doesn't really make it a garage for today's standards of American vehicles. Not that it's necessary to have a garage, but certainly the addition of the garage with the ADU, he was saying that is allowing him to utilize sort of some space underneath the unit he's proposing. So he presented a series of drawings plot plans as well as elevations. He also gave us some photographs of the existing property that had the evolution of the property itself as well as some of the interior spaces. And he also gave us some images of the surrounding area. We also have heard from two of the butters and the attorney for also two additional butters. They are all concerned over the height request that was at previously 26 feet, was amended by the owner, Mrs. Susi, to 24 feet. And their concerns related to the height. They understand that he can either have a garage or an ADU, but not both, because the two together is exceeding the 20-foot height requirement. So there was also mention of additional concerns of some of the use of the area, as well as approvals from additional organizations such as DEM, CRMC, and such. But we had heard from Mrs. Susi that those issues are either pending or have been provided relief and to approve sort of the proposed plan. So at this point, he's awaiting the approval of this board and then can get the final CRMC approval. So there, let's see, I don't think there was any other materials presented. We do have a letter from Mr. Indilia about the objections to it that he had listed that included, as I previously mentioned, the various density concerns and other ordinance-related things that aren't the purview of this board. But mainly his concerns were for the height and not for the use per se. So the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief, it's not due to the unique characteristic of the subject land or structure, and is not to the general character of the surrounding area, and is not due to physical or economic disability of the applicant. And this is because that there isn't anything necessarily unique about the property that's saying that the relief needed is because it is a unique characteristic of the subject land at all. This is looking for a dimensional variance based on the height. And the request is based on the uses, the structure as a garage below and a ADU above. And that the 24 feet that's requested is to sort of satisfy the use of both. We find that the hardship is not the result of any action from the applicant because, as he'd mentioned, anything that was outstanding in terms of previous work through CRMC and otherwise was approved after the work was completed, but there isn't really anything open on the property that is a concern. We find that granting the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based, because he's certainly not the only one with a multi-car garage. He's not the only one that has, I mean, even his building isn't necessarily more than 26 or 27 feet in height, when there are other ones that are closer to 35 feet around him. So it's not like he's going to be the tallest building in the neighborhood. This is just a matter of there being two independent buildings. One is about 26 and one is going to be 24 feet. That's why he's here. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, does amount to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use for which the property is proposed to be devoted. And I would argue that with this, most of the properties in this neighborhood do have garages. So I think not to say that everyone has to have a garage, but I think to have a garage will keep it in, have it in keeping with the neighborhood. So I do think that having it not allowed is more than a mere inconvenience. So There are no conditions for its approval, aside from, the final approval by CRMC is going to enable it to be built. And it's a 2-year sunset on the permit to allow them to go through that process. So 2 years from its recording, that they'll have to complete the project, correct? Or start the project?
To obtain a building permit.
To obtain a building permit, okay. All right, so with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hicks. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Jesus. I'm usually not the one that... Mr. Elia? Nay. Mr. McDonald? Nay. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. All right. So next on the agenda, we have the Narragansett Electric Company, who I thought was sending me out to a mission where I was not going to be found for days. The 821 Houseman Road, Allentown, Pennsylvania, 18104, requested dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a 32 by 60 utility building associated with the existing electrical substation. The building will be 33 feet from the property line. The required yard setback is 40 feet, therefore a 7-foot setback is requested. The lot size is 4.82 acres. Dimensional variance was required per the zoning ordinance section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property is Narragansett Electric Company for the premises located at 360 Great Neck Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 29, Lot 4, and is zoned R80. Good evening.
Good evening. George Watson, outside counsel to the Narragansett Electric Company. I'm a partner at Robinson & Cole. With me, I also have Ben Golnick.
Excellent.
Ben Golnick, I'm the project manager for this project. It's Golnik.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And so just forgive my ignorance, so there still is a Narragansett Electric Company?
Oh, yeah. Oh. It's actually one of my favorite questions. So the Narragansett Electric Company.
Excuse me, what was your name?
Sorry, it's George Watson, W-A-T-S-O-N.
Thank you.
So the Narragansett Electric Company is chartered by the state legislature. So
Okay.
that is the legal name of the asset owner
Okay.
of all the electrical and gas assets.
Oh, interesting. So all the infrastructure is still owned by, or no? And Rhode Island Energy leases it from
So
Narragansett?
Rhode Island Energy is a DBA. It's
Okay.
basically a fictitious name, a marketing name. I'm not calling it names, but
No, it's okay.
that's the term. So so that's the name that you see on the marketing, and also it's the name you see in some of the filings.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever we do a filing that relates to the use of an asset, or say recording a deed, that's always under the name of the Narragansett Electric Company.
So this is a really unique spot. This is what do you guys consider it? No, tell the whole story.
So I'll have Mr. Golnick, because you get a lawyer talking about substation, he's not, not the right person. But I will say this is an existing facility.
Mm-hmm.
It's built on the transmission corridor where there's two 115 kV lines that extend through it. Mr. Golnick would if you can give a brief history of the site and what the current operation is.
So come up to the mic, just make sure you speak into it, please.
Okay. So yeah, like George was saying, this is an existing substation. It's a 115 yard. There are distribution assets in the lower yard. There's actually an elevation change. The right side of the substation yard, as you're looking at it, is raised up. That's the transmission assets. And then the lower yard is the distribution assets.
So
And then-
if you could summarize the purpose of the project?
So we're expanding the yard. We're adding additional equipment here. We're going to separate the distribution and the transmission equipment. So we did not have the room in the existing control house to accommodate the controls for the new equipment that's going in. We are adding breakers, transformers, additional IT equipment, and this is all mainly for reliability. This is going to give us the option for outages. We're going to be able to minimize outages, break them down into smaller sections, so that then if there are events or planned outages, unplanned outages, the impact to the customers is going to be less, since we'll be able to divide this out.
Interesting. So it's really interesting, like, just to come upon this site and go onto the site is pretty neat. So it must have driven everybody nuts that somebody put a square crooked into a square. So the engineers were having a hard time place this building because everything else is square.
Yes.
And they just couldn't make it work. They couldn't make a building that was crooked, basically, right? I mean, so you guys are trying to house something.
We did explore the option, but yes, that was definitely a sticking point. Substations, generally speaking, we want everything, we want it square. We want everything in the rows. It's just the way it is, everything connects that way. But we did explore 2 other options to try to contain this into, eliminate the need for the variance.
Yep.
And this was the least impactful.
And for the nature of the equipment that you're trying to store in this building, can the building be made any smaller to accommodate this equipment?
It cannot.
And how critical is this equipment to its function? I mean, is it?
It's critical. There's nothing that we're putting in the building that doesn't need to be in the building.
Okay, and sort of clearances and things, you can't make it 2 feet when it's supposed to be 5 feet, just so the guys squeeze in between that and some high tension wires?
Exactly, and that there's different drivers on this, but yeah, that was one of the drivers. We have overhead lines that we need certain clearances for, equipment that we have clearances for, regulations that we need to be able to get vehicles in. If there's something going on, maintenance, we need to be able to have access around certain equipment, be able to get it out, in and out, people into work on it. But yes, the clearances, like I said, the overhead line, we're going to have lightning protection that's going to need to be above the building.
Right.
So there's consideration. Like I said, we did explore 2 additional options to try and tweak this so that we could get it within the
footprint or within the setbacks.
Exactly.
And who's surrounding you?
It's the Great Swamp. Is it nature reserve? It's the state of Rhode Island.
National state. Okay. And they weren't looking to sell any land to you guys.
They were not.
Okay. You're lucky to have what you have, I guess is what they think, right?
I don't, for the record, I don't know that we asked either, but I think most of that land is generally procured, obtained through federal grants and stuff. So getting them to release it is a process.
For how many feet are we talking about? 7 feet?
7 feet. It's a process that they typically don't entertain. And then as far as direct abutters uses that we're abutting, it's just the maintenance shed and the gun range.
Any risk to any of the surrounding area in terms of, being 7 feet closer to the property line? Is there any risks to flora or fauna, anything?
Everything's happening on the property, so we're not impacting adjacent uses.
So it's not like, this is a dimensional, so egress is irrelevant. Okay, board members?
Quick question. You need our approval, obviously. Does PUC have to weigh in on this?
Ooh, that's for me. That's it. No. The reason being, we're not modifying the transmission line at all. And so first it would be the Rhode Island Energy Facility Siting Board that could have jurisdiction if we were modifying the location of the transmission line. And they have jurisdiction over everything that's rated at 69 kV or more.
Okay.
Substations are not under their jurisdiction though. So they can fall in as a back end if you're doing a transmission line project that requires a substation in order for that transmission line to work.
Right.
But otherwise, substations are all permitted locally.
Okay. So if we don't grant it, you shut our power off.
Just you.
Well, if you don't grant it, there's a. But actually, that's the one piece where the PUC would have jurisdiction is if In the event there's a decision that's adverse to the company and the company wants to challenge it, they don't challenge it through the normal state courts. There's a shorter appeal period, and it's directly to the PUC.
That's cool.
Sure.
Jesus. Need a break? All right, any other questions, board members? No. You want to add anything?
We have nothing else to add unless.
No, not yet. No, all these, I see this an angry crowd out there, so let's see what they have to say, but thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against? Does anybody know where it is? It's in Liberty Lane, all the way down Liberty Lane, right near the train tracks. It's so it's actually a very nice hike out there if you guys haven't taken a hike out there. So just not through that area. Any thoughts on this? Concerns, questions, motions? Please do.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for Narragansett Light. In a meeting held on Wednesdays, July 15, 2026, Narragansett Electric Corporation of 360 Great Neck Road appeared in front of the board. Representatives who spoke for this application is Mr. Ben Golnick and Mr. George Watson. No individuals spoke in opposition. The following materials were entered into record: petition ZBR-2620, Assessor's Map 29, Lot 4, Zoned R80, and a land survey by WSP USA, Inc. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and structure, to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant. Applicant is looking to construct a 32 by 60 utility building to support their substation. Lot size is 4.82 acres, therefore the setback required is 40 feet. Therefore the building is 33 feet from the property line, therefore the applicant is seeking relief of 7 feet. Board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. Board further finds that granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. Furthermore, the board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than an inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted, and there were no conditions accompanying this approval.
Motion was made by Mr. Ilya. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Daniels. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Ilya?
Aye.
Mr. Daniels? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Keep the lights on. Thank you. All right. Next is Jalen Campanini. This is petition ZBR 26-22, 287 Woodruff Ave of Wakefield, 02879, requested dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a detached garage with an accessory dwelling unit located on the second story. The proposed building will measure 25 feet 6 inches in height. The maximum accessory building height is 15, therefore a 10-foot-6 relief is requested. The lot area is 14,905 square feet, whereas 20,000 square foot is required to establish an ADU. The relief of 5,995 square feet is requested. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907, standards of relief. The owner of the property is Jalen Campanini for the premises located at 30 Branch Ave, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 49-4, Lot 32, and is zoned R10. Good evening.
Good evening.
And you are?
Jalen Campanini.
All right,
I
and-
can spell it if you want me to.
Please.
First name Jalen, Jalyn. Last name Campanini, Campani.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So tell me what you'd like to do.
I bought my grandparents' property, and I need to put in a garage and ADU. Currently, my cousin resides in the main house because I am back and forth from North Carolina. So I am looking to build that and reside in that unit when I'm up here.
Okay. And so you kind of heard what happened in the first round here.
Yes.
But you are a new petition. So, I mean, you want to go higher than normal, and you want to go closer, right? Oh, I'm sorry, size. I'm sorry. Let me
Height.
start over again.
Yes,
You
sir.
you want a height difference, and you're also looking for relief by the amount of space that you have.
Correct.
Right? On the property itself. So, why don't we just kind of go through each of those? So, the property is considered too small to have an ADU. So, you know, we ask that the property be at least 20,000 square feet. So you're under that. So, tell me about like sort of what's happening in the neighborhood, or is there, you know, is it going to be something, because density is the biggest concern, right? That we're going to have too many buildings in one spot, and all of a sudden it's going to be just a cluster of buildings.
I don't think so.
Well, I noticed
There's a pre-existing shed that we're going to be taking down right behind my house and just putting up this garage, which there isn't a garage at all, and there's really no parking for the people that even live at the primary.
So, I mean, I noticed it's also really close to the adjacent property. You know, you're within the setback, but you're also you're asking to build something pretty close. Do you know what's happening with that property next door? Is the first question. I mean, if you don't, that's fine.
No.
You don't need to answer it.
I believe it's supposed to be torn down, but I don't.
Oh, is it?
I don't know if that's the truth, so
Okay.
I don't know.
And we'll find out if they're here, if they're concerned at all tonight. You know, so I think it's just, you know, your hardship relative to needing to have this is also part of this. I'm just trying to understand why you need to have, like, because it's a smaller lot, and, you know, and you want to go higher. You know, so why here? Why in this property?
Because I own it already.
Okay. And is there any other way, like you're looking to use it to have others stay there? Like, what's the goal of it?
No, I would be staying there. I
Okay.
currently also, that's why I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the address that you have, I live in North Carolina as well.
Oh, okay. So the
So when I'm
287
up
Woodruff?
here, I work remote, so it's to have pretty much my own space and be able to work from there.
Okay, so, but you're saying there's family that you have that's
In the
staying on the
primary
property
house.
as well?
Yep, correct.
So you're looking to sort of have a property where you can have multiple family members?
Yes,
Is the goal?
correct.
And the reason why you're detaching it and not attaching to it, like why not have it as part of the building?
I don't think we can. Can we? I don't think we can.
Okay, I mean,
I mean, I don't want to say you can or can't, but, you know, based on the location, I don't see why it couldn't be attached, but certainly there's a preference, I'd imagine, by the applicant.
and if this were attached to the building, they would still have these concerns?
It wouldn't need a height variance, it would just need the lot area.
Lot area to have the
shortfall variance.
ADU
Correct.
itself? Okay.
The only way she could have, the only way this property owner could have an ADU by right is if it were located within an existing principal or accessory structure. So because this is proposed as standalone, it needs relief for lot area, but that would also be true if the proposal was to add on and increase the footprint of the existing structure.
Okay. I mean, because the density is definitely interesting in the neighborhood, right? I mean, it seems, you know, and that's why I was asking about the house adjacent to you, because the placement of these buildings is very unique. They're all very close to each other, right? So to say that it's out of character isn't, you know, it's a very unique how all these buildings are. Obviously, all of these were built before we had zoning. So, okay. Board members, do you have questions?
Very quickly, I missed the beginning. Did you say that you were the owner of the whole property?
Correct.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What is the square foot of your existing house? Do you know?
I believe around
1,200
square. Yeah,
And what is the height of your existing house? Do you know?
over 30.
Over 30? So it's a two-story house?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay. So tell me again who occupies the existing house right now?
My cousin, family member.
I'm sorry?
My family member, my cousin.
And you occupy it or you don't?
I don't.
Where are you now? Where do you live now?
In North Carolina.
Okay. So you're looking to move here to the ADU full-time? Is that what you're looking to do?
Yeah. I'm typically up here a good bit. My family's all up here, so my mom lives at the address that the gentleman read off originally.
Okay, so the existing house is rented?
My cousin stays there, yes.
Okay. That's all for...
And so the purpose is to have a garage? Like, is that the point to have? Because the only reason you need 2 stories is for a garage on the first floor, right?
Correct, yep.
And what are you looking for, like, why a garage? Like,
Because we don't have any storage or space for our cars.
yep. And you're taking down the shed, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
And, I mean, yeah, and it's dilapidated and needs to
Okay.
come down.
Does it? Okay.
Does the present house where your cousin lives, are there any garages in that location?
No, that's why we're trying to build one.
Okay. And is she renting that space from you, just for clarification, or is she?
Yep, he lives in that property, correct?
Okay, and the ADU that you're proposing to build, would that be for your use alone, or would you
Correct.
propose to rent that at any
Nope,
time?
it would be for when I'm up here, which is a good bit.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. McDonald? Anything? Okay. Do you want to add anything else to the story?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. We'll let you know if we want you to come back up. So, thank you. Anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition? For it or against it? Come on up. And again, just for the record, please state and spell your name.
Elizabeth Kirby.
Just bring the mic a little bit closer to you. And please spell your name for us.
Elizabeth, Kirby, Kirby.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So please tell us what you'd like to say.
I live at 25 Branch Street, across
Okay.
from 30. And I have a problem with their driveway.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to put in this unit with a 2-car garage,
Right.
2 bedrooms, and the house has 3 bedrooms. And there's just no way. They always end up using the other person's driveway. From the creepy house.
Use it in what way? To access?
Well, during the last winter months, there were 3 cars that were living in the front house.
The blue house, their blue house, that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they all don't go out at the same time. And so they shuffle around to get out. Sometimes they end up on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to have, she's saying that she's not going to rent the ADU, but who knows what happens? So then you got trying to, if this is all true, and the house people get to use that garage, then it probably wouldn't be a problem. But that's my concern, is everything sort of just comes out onto the street. And then you get a snowstorm, and then you got more problems.
Okay. So the concern is parking
It's parking because,
mainly?
yes, because
Okay.
there's usually more than just one renter in that house.
Sure. That's a very good question. So we will ask that.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else out there want to come up?
I think I can help with her answer there. My name's Stephen Gee, G-E-E.
Move up the mic and just say that again.
There you
for
go, a
me.
little better.
Yeah, thank you.
To go with her
Yeah,
question
spell,
right there.
state and spell your name just one more time.
Stephen with a V, last name Gee, G-E-E.
And you swear to tell the whole truth? and
I
nothing but
swear to
truth?
tell the truth.
Go ahead.
To answer her question, she said the answer pretty much herself. The reasoning for the garage and to lift the ADU is to have parking, because there is not much room for parking. Most of the cars get stuck in the street in that area, and that's what she's worried about.
Right.
So the reasoning for the garage is to put the cars in farther into the property and out of the street, which they had problems with the plowing and everything else, so it's a good reason to get the cars in farther. So that's the whole reason why she's here, is to get the elevation up,
Okay.
and then put the ADU on top, so they can put the garage in the bottom, because there's no other room to put a garage or more parking in that area, so, to answer the questions of that.
And it's, that driveway is only about 15 feet or so it's not as
Wide.
if they're
Yeah.
side by side.
Yeah, and she'd
You
also...
can only stack.
Exactly. It's also a reason why she'd have troubles attaching and putting an addition or adding to the, or joining the property together, the two buildings together, is it just wouldn't work too well.
And so it's showing the elevation as two doors. So the intent is to open up the driveway to
Yeah, it'll go around where you see the shed on the property, if they could bring the picture back up of the property.
So once you pass the house, the driveway is going to open up a little bit?
It goes a little towards the back of the house, and you pull into the garage that way.
So you will have two in the garage, and then you can also have two on the outside,
On the
side by
driveway,
side?
on the driveway, so now no cars would be in the street.
So, or are you going to still have to stack, or do you think you can have some in front?
All right.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be having two different conversations.
It's okay.
So can two cars park in front of the garage once the garage is built?
One could.
One could.
Not unless you stack them behind each other.
Okay, but you will be able to get one on each side. Okay, so is there anywhere else to kind of make parking on that lot?
No, when they did the survey and stuff, this is the best they could make it happen here. Otherwise, the cars are just going to stack in the street, which goes to what she's worried about, the lady before us here.
Right.
This is going to be right in front of the high school, pretty much.
So, I'm sorry, and how many bedrooms in the main house?
I think we got 3 there? 3.
3 bedrooms in the main house? And then there's going to be 2? Yeah, 2 in here. Okay. And your intent is to use the garage as parking?
It's more for the parking, the garage, than anything.
Okay.
yeah.
And I can't, my glasses stink. So it's 32 feet deep, 30 feet deep? 32?
2.
So it's sufficient to have a car and still storage, so it's not like you have to
Right,
make a choice.
Exactly. That's why we're tearing the shed down. She'll have enough room to storage in the garage with the cars. She'll
So
have shed
you'll
room.
be able to have both
Exactly.
in there, so it's not as if
Exactly.
you have to make a choice.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, that is helpful. Thank you. Hang on. Mr. Elia?
Quick question, any issues with DME? Or DEM, any septic issues? No? Okay, thanks.
And it's also town water and sewer there, so there'll be no septic or anything, so it's just town water and sewer. It's also another reason why we can't bring it forward, because of where the water and sewer comes into the house.
Easier, thank you.
Oh, so that's stormwater in the back. I see. Okay. Yep. That is a requirement. Well, you have water while we have it. So anyone else want to speak on behalf of this? Okay. Do you want to add anything else, or you guys good? Any thoughts, board members?
My concern is the applicant's asking for an awful lot here. It's about an 80% variance on height and about a 25% variance on the property, since she's asking for 5,000 square feet against 20. It's about 20%, I guess. And she's asking for 10.6 feet on the building height is 15. That's about 80% of the height. And I don't think an area of 14,000 square foot lot, it's undersized to begin with. It's non-conforming, I'm assuming. This is, to me, it doesn't belong here. It's the lot's too small, the request is too large, and it doesn't belong in this small of a lot, this size of a structure. So I would have a hard time at this point granting a variance.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Any other thoughts? I was out there and took a look at it, and I was just kind of, again, I was just struck really by the density that's there. You know, that building in the back, the community housing land trust building, is just a really weird anomaly. And it's because of that it sort of gives me pause with this to say, okay, well, you know, are we talking about it just a unique density of buildings that this sits in? You know, and I also appreciate the fact that you want to put in an ADU. I appreciate the fact that you want to have more parking underneath it. But like you, Mr. Daniels, it's sort of like they're asking for a pretty big leap. But at the same time, I don't feel like that the neighborhood, you know, it couldn't sort of justify it. So I'm kind of on the fence. I probably would approve it. You know, I mean, if there were objectors, I'd probably be, you know, and there are concerns, obviously, by Ms. Kirby. You know, but her concern was the driveway and the stacking, and to hear that, you know, the whole goal of the garage is to house the cars. So,
Let me just respond to you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, please.
How about if she just put a driveway in and solves the parking issue? If we make this about the parking issue, I don't think that's relative to what we should be considering for an ADU. She can put a driveway in, but that's my feeling.
I don't think that addresses the storage issue, though.
no. You need another garage, or some sort of shed. I mean, this does knock out a couple concerns.
I mean, to me, unlike the previous applicant, who already had storage, he already had an existing garage that was useful. This property does not have either of those. So I can see the need for both of those. Parking to get cars off the street and also additional storage. So I don't think that this applicant is synergistic to the one what we had before us an hour ago.
No, and you know, and also the age of the house and the age of the area, I just feel like that it could have had a larger structure on it, you know, sort of a two-story. So that, you know, yeah, so I still think I might favor its passage, so. Any other thoughts? Mr. McDonald? Yep.
I'll jump in. You know, again, I'm torn between, you know, the need, I understand the need for the storage, and I understand the need for an ADU, but again, I think, you know, when I look at the amount of variance that is being requested, to me, it just seems that, you know, we have specific reasons why we have maximum heights and maximum setbacks within our rules. And for such a large variance, I just think it's just being too much into a very small lot. And I can't get over the largeness or the scale of what the variances being requested are.
Did you want to say, Ms. Campany, you wanted to say something else? Yeah, come on up. Go ahead.
And again, very similar to what Steve said and Libby's concern, I hate the cars parking on the road. It's already a small road as it is, Branch Street, and in my front yard, people park. I've had to park there. So to have the space, again, in a garage, in a safe space where you're not parking on the road, you're not taking up that space, I think is very important. There isn't anywhere else I can go other than right in front of my hedge, which, you know, isn't convenient for anybody, and it's not, especially in the school season, it's very inconvenient. So that's, again, the reasoning for having that space and being able to fit the 2 cars in and have storage. And then for me, I'm up here probably almost for months at a time, every other month. So it's to have a space to live when I'm up here would also, that's the reason for the ADU. Again, I don't need to be staying with my mom, so it would be nice to have space on my own property, and my cousin also is living here, works here, so he's here as well. So.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I do think we're sometimes a disadvantage. Applicants come in front of us with an application, they present material, and sometimes I do think that just the application of material alone could be misleading. I know that I try and go out and see every location as best I can, and I think when you do that, sometimes it gives you a different perspective than just looking at an application on paper. You get a better understanding of some of the environmental issues that some of the applicants are trying to address. So, and I think in this instance, to me, this is one of those instances where the application on its own merit can present one aspect, but if you go out and take a look at the property and the surrounding area and the limitation of parkings, you get a better understanding of what the applicant is trying to achieve.
Yeah. Anyone else? Ms. Hicks?
Just going out and looking at your property, I was concerned about the lot coverage, whether you were trying to squeeze something that might be too big for that area into your backyard. I have no problem with the height, though, because I understand the advantages to putting the garage under the ADU. So, and you addressed the question I had, because when I looked at your property, I was trying to figure out what that was, facing your house, what that was to the left. Because it's got a chain link fence around it, and it's clearly abandoned, and I didn't know if it's coming down, if it's being remodeled. You don't, yeah, and it's not your job to know what it is either, so.
I think that building's coming down, if I remember right. Supposedly, it's supposed to be coming down legally. It's not even inside its setbacks, from what I understand. But if she was just doing the ADU, is she inside her setbacks? If she wasn't doing the height? I was asking Jamie if she's inside her setbacks with just the ADU, if there wasn't a garage.
So the proposed garage is 6 feet off the side property line, so that complies. That's the
So
6 foot's the offset.
Yeah, I'm just going back to what the earlier applicant was. You know, she's all inside her setbacks. If she's just doing ADU, she could probably do it legally, or just a garage, she could do it legally. So she's more or less just asking for a height.
She could do the garage. The ADU wouldn't be allowed under a 20,000 square foot.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if she just did the ADU, she'd be allowed, right?
No, she wouldn't be able to do the ADU without a dimensional
Okay.
variance. So, but you also, as we know, you can't do a garage in an ADU unless they're flat roofs. You know, so,
That I know.
all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, does anyone care to make a motion? Is there anyone that's feeling this? Yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem.
Right. Here we go. Okay, at a meeting of the South Kingstown Zoning Board of Review held on July 15th, 2026, we heard the petition of Jalen Campanini, whose address is listed as, why am I not seeing it? I know it was Woodruff, and why am I not seeing it?
Nope, it's
287.
Yeah, okay, I'm looking at the wrong sheet, that's why. Yep, address locally, listed as 287 Woodruff Avenue, Wakefield. And we had three people who spoke this evening. In addition to Ms. Campanini, we had Elizabeth Kirby and Stephen, and I didn't catch your last name. Okay. Both spoke this evening. And we have materials that were entered into the record. Again, we have, caught me by surprise. Can I just say that we have a record of everything that was entered? Okay. Go on from there. So, the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristic of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to a physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in 4524-3016, because the house that exists is already on a smaller lot, and Ms. Campanini is looking to build an ADU that she can live in with garage space underneath, which will relieve some of the stress on that street for parking. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant, again, because of the size of the existing lot, the need for additional housing for Ms. Campanini, and additional parking. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based, because I don't think that the proposed ADU would be out of character, style-wise or size-wise, with the other houses in that area. and the board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted, because without the ADU, Ms. Campanini cannot live on the property that she owns. There's currently a resident or more than one resident in the existing main house. So she would like to be able to live on her property when she is here in South Kingstown. So I don't think we have any additional considerations that we have to add to this motion, but I am moving that we approve her application.
Motion is made by Ms. Hicks. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Elia. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Hicks? Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Nay.
Mr. Daniels? Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. So, okay, that's it. So you'll hear from Jamie. Right? No. No. He'll get in touch with you guys, and so you could go from there. Thank you. Two more. Two more, right? Yes. Okay. Oh yeah. So first petition is GSC Construction Company, 601 Sand Trail Road, Wakefield, 02879, requesting a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to demolish a 320 square foot garage and construct a new 650 foot attached garage to the same location. The garage will be located 20.8 feet from the front property line, 10.5 feet from the side property line, and 29 feet from the rear property line. The required front, rear, and side yard setback is 33, 14 feet respectively. So a relief of 12.4 feet, 3.7 feet, and 4 feet is requested. The lot size is 0.43 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 205, single non-conforming lots, and section 907, standards of relief. Owners of the property are David and Deborah Bannon for premises located at 36 Edwards Ave, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 35-4, Lot 13, and is zoned R20. Good evening. So please state your name, spell it.
My name is David Bannon, D-A-V-I-D, B-A-N-N-O-N.
And is everybody going to speak? Go ahead.
Deborah Bannon, D-E-B-O-R-A-H, B-A-N-N-O-N.
Excellent. And you are?
Michael Kinney, M-I-C-H-A-E-L-K-I-N-N-E.
And all you guys swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
So help me God.
All right, go for it. What do you guys like to do?
Okay. Currently, we have a single-car garage that is too small for our vehicles. It was built quite a while ago, and we'd like to increase the size to a two-car garage. No ADU. Just a two-car garage is all we're looking for.
So you guys mentioned in your application that it's the same footprint. So that you're meaning that you're going to the same extent that the current, because it's a really interesting, it's the house breezeway
Right.
garage right now.
Correct.
And you're going to do sort of the same thing, house breezeway garage, but the
Correct.
the garage is getting bigger, breezeway getting smaller?
No, breezeway stays the same.
Okay.
We're just going to add a second bay.
Second bay, and that second bay is going to get you closer to the sideline?
That's right.
Okay. So you're increasing that, so right now, so you're moving that edge of the garage,
Right.
one more bay, the
Correct.
12 feet or something like that?
Right.
Okay. So it's not going exactly where it was before? You're making it a little bit bigger? Okay.
I'll let Mike speak to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for letting me speak. What we're looking at when I did the design was to keep the breezeway is pretty much a roof covering two doors. There's no enclosure or anything there, but it does touch the garage. What I wanted was the corner that closest to the breezeway to be kind of the anchor point. The idea was to keep as much as possible up to the sill plates and then push out and back as far as they were looking to go. And then put the roof over that, pretty much. They do use their garage for more than vehicle storage. It is storage for other things as well, including one very sweet red truck, if I can add that. One of the other things that I did want to include in the design is that if you look straight down on the elevations page, the garage, the proposed garage does not go beyond any way that would cause an issue with the view. So if anybody was walking down the road, it doesn't push forward, it doesn't push like backward to a point where it causes an issue. You can see it right there. In the upper right-hand corner, the white area in the middle is where the garage is. So trying to have it in a way that if you looked straight down, it didn't cause any issue for the views down to the water, pretty much. But mainly the idea coming up on this site was to see, you can even see when you look at the GIS map, the cars are currently on the outside. We're basically just trying to put them on the inside. So,
So that sweet red truck is essentially going to be where the garage goes to?
exactly.
Okay.
I believe the encroachment that we're talking about for the setback is less than a foot, based on the site plan that I was seeing. So we're really looking at, you know, a degree of inches as far as the setbacks are concerned.
In terms of what? In terms of
Towards the other lot.
towards the other lot? But you're how much? Like, I guess I'm having a hard time from these drawings. What your proposed width is 25.4?
Proposed is 25.4, yes.
And what is it now? Is it about 15?
It's 16.9, I actually have it. Right now, the proposed is 16.3.
Is existing.
Yep, 16.3 wide and 19.6 and a quarter deep.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, anything else you guys want to add? I mean, is there, did you talk with neighbors? Was there any concern from the neighbors? They're here? Okay. All right. You want to add anything else? Board members, any questions? Okay. No?
Just curiosity, was the garage built first?
No, the cape part of the house was the original house with the little garage, a breezeway, and a cape. And then my parents in 1970 added the other section of the house. So it's been there forever, but.
No, the garage just looked older than the house, so that's why I wondered.
You know why? We didn't have it sided because we knew that there was going to be a chance that we would have to, expand it. And we didn't want to put the money in for roofing and siding at that point. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern.
It's showing its age.
It is.
So, and just to ask the obvious, is there any way you guys can put it on the other side of the house? Like where you wouldn't need a setback?
That's waterfront.
Water side.
And
Okay.
we have a very large patio
Yep.
that we had built, so that there's really no way to put it on that side. On top of it, you get into the high water mark,
Yep.
which goes about halfway up the yard, if there's a hurricane. So,
Right.
we're.
So those houses all to the right of you would all be underwater and yours would
They
still be?
will, and we won't.
Yeah, all
We're
right.
on a
well,
hill. We're on a hill. We're pretty good.
You guys have the biggest lot in the street, for sure. In Middlebridge alone, wow.
It's the biggest lot.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, well, let's see if anybody has anything to say out there, but thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
No problem. Did you want to come up and speak on behalf of this at all? You just want to hear what's going on? So, I was out there today, and it's Middlebridge, and it seems to fit with the property. So, Ms. Hicks, what are you thinking?
Just a question,
You're not on.
are any CRC permits required because you are waterfront, or DEM, or anything that we need to be aware of?
No requirements. Otherwise, there's no other boards or any Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, if the work's within 200 feet of the coastal feature, then they need CRMC approval, and it looks like the garage is, let's see, about just around 200, so they could find out with CRMC if they're within their jurisdiction, but our aerial viewers, right on the line.
Ish. Okay.
And that would be something where the board, if the board decided to grant the application and for whatever reason CRMC jurisdiction did apply and it would need to be changed, they might have to come back here. But the board can grant the application even with that issue being not 100% resolved.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily have to state it specifically in the decision because CRMC jurisdiction applies. We just don't have a wetlands delineation or anything in writing from the agency that it does not apply. But if, through the building permit process, that would be, Jamie's office would review it.
Sure. Yeah, it looks to be, by the dimensions of this plot, it's 206.2 feet. So, there you go. Ms. Elia?
Yes. It is probably worth them contacting just to make sure.
Depends where you start.
I can make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the application of GSC Construction on Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. GSC Construction of 601 Sand Trail Road appeared before the board. Individuals that spoke on behalf of the applicant are Mr. and Mrs. David and Deborah Bannon and Mr. Michael Kenny. No one spoke in opposition. Following materials were entered into record. Petition ZBR-26-23, Assessors Map 35-4, Lot 13, and which is zoned R20. Additionally, land survey from East Greenwich Surveyors was included. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not the general characteristics of the surrounding area. Excuse me, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those disabilities addressed in 45-2030. The applicant is seeking to demolish a 320 square foot garage and construct a new 650 square foot attached garage in the same location. Garage will be located 20 feet 8 inches from the front property line, 10 feet 5 inches from the side property line, and 29 feet from the rear property line. The required front, rear, and side setbacks are 33 feet, 14 feet, and 20 and 14 feet respectively. Therefore, relief of 12 feet 4 inches, 3 feet 7 inches, and 4 feet is requested. Present lot size is 0.43 acres. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. Board further finds that granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan on which the ordinance is based. Furthermore, the board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property if the dimensional variance is not granted amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use in which the property is proposed to be devoted, and there are no conditions with this approval. Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Elia. Can I get a second? A second by Ms. Hicks. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck, guys.
Thank you so
much. Makes you want to go for an ADU now, doesn't it? Good job. Thank you. That was very good. I appreciate your notes there. I'm going to have to learn from that. All right. Mr. McCollig, 3147 Tower Hill Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879. They're requesting a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to legally establish a 129 square foot addition previously constructed to the dwelling. The addition is located 21 feet from the side property line. The required yard setback is 40 feet. Therefore, a relief of 19 feet is requested. The lot size is 2.05 acres. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907, standards of relief. Owner of the property are William, Megan, and Laura McCollig for premises located at 3147 Tower Hill Road, South Kingstown. Assessors map 18-3, lot 28, and is zoned R80. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Patient.
William McCallig, MCCALLIG.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So tell me, Mr. McCallig, what have you done?
So I'm seeking 19 relief to legally what I did. So I took an old existing bulkhead that was in the back of my house, and the foundation was cracked from my grandfather built the house in 1962, and I was getting water in through it, and I was getting ready to have a kid, and one weekend me and two friends were like, let's just fix this, and I did it the wrong way. I know that now, but it's kind of, when the house was built in 1962, I don't know exactly what the zoning was. I tried looking it up. The 40-foot zoning pretty much almost splits my house in the middle. And so the existing house, I want to say, is 31 feet from the property line, and that old bulkhead stuck off the house 7 feet. And then the new addition, all it is an interior set of stairs that goes into the basement and in my first floor. It gave me an extra storage for just like almost like a pantry off the main part of the house. It gives me a good egress in and out of the basement now.
And the property is kind of a unique shape, right?
It is. It's for 2 acres. It's long. So it's right up by the Tower Route 1. It's very long. And by the time with the jagged edges, I don't know when my great-grandfather split this land off and gave it to my grandfather. He couldn't just draw a straight line. But the 40 feet kind of really reduces you down in the middle. And there isn't that much out of the whole 2 acres. I know I did include, I don't know if you guys saw the letters, my neighbor to the north, Steve Cornier, and then the property to the west and south also wrote letters saying that they do not oppose the relief I'm going for tonight.
Yeah, we have those letters from Bert Hess, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Helen McGuire,
which is 100 Morrisfield Road,
yeah. So your neighbors are okay with this?
Yeah, I'm very close with mine. He works on a barge, so Stephen couldn't be here tonight, but he's the one that's most directly affected by this, and he's like, I can't even see your house from mine, and he's my closest abutting neighbor from Route 1 to behind my garage, which my garage is actually completely built not by today's standards,
right,
over the zoning setback.
Okay. All right, board members, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the addition exists already? It's built there already? Is that what I understand?
Yeah.
How did it get there? Tell me about that.
So years ago, when my grandfather was still alive, there was a big pine tree behind the house that fell. And when it fell, when the stump went into not the stump, but the branch went into the ground, it put the crack in the foundation originally. And then I had some grading issues around there, so I was able to bring some fill in and got the grade to get away from the house. But the bulkhead lip for the concrete was always too low, so I was starting to get water in there. Then it just started seeping in through the crack of the concrete in the foundation. So I got really stressed out about being a first-time father, to be honest with you, and I knew I needed to do something, and my wife was on me. So just one week, and I rented a machine and.
So it was more of a maintenance issue?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sure.
And remind us, what's the size of the space that you put on?
So the previous structure was 6 feet wide, 7 feet deep, 7 feet towards the property line. The new one is 10 feet towards the property line, 12 feet wide. Okay. So it gives me more storage and the ability to now be able to walk from my kitchen out into this and then turn and walk down into the basement, but also access the back side of my house for egress.
So, assuming you're asking this without it ever being up there, is there anywhere else that you could have put this particular addition in a place where it wouldn't have gone over
No,
the property line?
because on the east side
In
of
the
the house,
property
in the
setback?
south, the front, there's a fieldstone concrete porch, and then the whole southeast side of the house, you can see the septic tank there.
Yep.
Which doesn't really, that only has the pod and the 2 pump chambers. The septic tank actually sits a little closer to the house, and then my septic system sits right there, and I also have the electric service coming in on the right-hand side of the house.
So, and even if you did it 10 feet to the left or right, it would still have been within the setbacks because the house
Yes, and even
is-
if I came on the side of the house, I would have had to have been, I think it would have been under the center beam of the house at that point.
So, and with 2 acres, you know, it really would have been a shame not to be able to use your house.
Yes.
And expand your house.
Yes, sir.
Because you're in the setback.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I think you're alone.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else out there want to speak on behalf of this? Any thoughts on this? Anyone want to make a motion or? I was out to the property today. I mean, it isn't something that was consequential at all to anyone adjacent. There was enough screening and everything, so.
Got some support to his couple letters. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be happy to make a motion. Meeting held today regarding the petition of William McCallig, and I'm guessing which World Cup team he might have supported, unfortunately, at this stage. But anyway, Mr. McCallig spoke and indicated that he wishes to legally establish a previously constructed addition to the dwelling at 3147 Tower Hill Road in Wakefield. The documentation and the application has been read into the record by the chairman. A variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, dimensional regulations, and 907, standards of relief. He is requesting relief of 19 feet on a required yard setback. This lot size is 2.05 acres. No one spoke in opposition to the request, and the appropriate documents were entered into the record. The board finds the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and the structure, not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to physical or economic disability of the applicant. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior deliberate action of the applicant, because I believe the testimony was that the structure was to correct a existing fault for maintenance purposes and for continued relief of water and possible damage to the main structure. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based, because once again, this is a minor variance to the property, and we do have 2 supporting applicants, butters that are in support of the application. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, would amount to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted, once again, because this was a small addition to protect the integrity of the main structure of the house. There are no conditions, And with that, I would move that we approve the application.
Motion was made by Mr. Daniels. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McDonald. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Daniels.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Mr. Elia.
Aye.
Ms. Hicks.
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Enjoy the space.
Good luck.
We have minutes that Ben had sent to us all from the last meeting, which was June 17th.
Yep.
Anyone have any changes or concerns about anything that was on there?
No.
No? Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Motion was made. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Elia. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye?
Aye? No. For Bill, yeah, is there anything that we have to do to sort of adjust anything at this point? The council has to
The
make that
council
adjustment.
will be informed of his resignation, and they'll solicit volunteers. We need a few extra bodies on this board.
Yes, and then they
so-
would also elevate Mr.
Yes,
McKenna.
so,
Okay.
so please ask your friends.
Yes.
Also, I think you're going to have the pleasure of Mike Ursillo's company next month, because I will be on vacation for your August meeting, so
Dare you. Yeah. You
you'll
better
be,
be
you'll be in
prepared.
good hands.
Does he know he has to bring candy? Okay. So minutes were approved. Any other business to attend to? No. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Not me.
Nice.